perspective. The Chinese are coming. Okay, we haven't seen anything from the Chinese yet. The Russians are coming. Don't assume the Chinese are sleeping. In fact, in AI, they are the world leaders in AI research, especially AI in education. China is the world leader, okay? So they are coming up with their own products. Russia is coming up with their own products. Without a doubt, and I said this actually at the January 2023, it seems like ages ago, 4 months ago, 2023 will be the year of AI. I spoke to, doping Hafıza. It's a system that prepares students for the university exam, okay? I don't like what they do because I hate university exams and I hate every company that prepares kids to a multiple choice exam. But these guys are actually using AI. They prepare well, okay? The founder, is actually Istanbul Erkut graduate, like Hocam and I, and also a Boğaziçi Endüstri graduate like me. So he's basically a junior version of me. He came to my office and we chatted about this. He said, listen, right now we don't use ChatGPT because it doesn't allow us to train the neural nets. We just use a closed box, black box. We don't like that, okay? But as soon as we can actually buy the product, which is not possible, and train it ourselves based on our own data, we have hundreds of hours of video tutoring. So with video, you go speech to text, feed it into your own version of AI tool, and then you release that to the public. So doping Hafıza, maybe if you want to talk to a tutor, it'll cost you, 300 liras an hour, 500 liras an hour. If you're willing to talk to a chatbot, it'll cost you maybe 10 liras an hour. So it's the first profession that's going to go out of business in Turkey. I think it's private tutoring. Okay? As soon as doping officer does this, of course, I mean, things will never die that quickly. It's probably going to take 5 years until people realize that they can get this service almost for free. But I think it's going to happen faster than people think because it's us who are the slow ones. Okay, the young ones are fast. They are adopting very quickly. High school students, when they see and they smell that they can get help at a lower price, they're going to jump at it and they're going to put the tutors out of business. And I don't shed a tear for them. I'm sorry. But they're going to be replaced by mentors, okay, coaches. High school student coach is a new profession. Okay, you charge 1,000 liras per child, meet with them once a week. You have 30 children, 30 hours a week you work, not bad, okay? And you make 30,000, way more than what you make as a teacher. And you just talk to them about their life plans, career plan. So you need to retool it a little bit. You need to make yourself a mentor, a career coach. And then instead of teaching them math, geometry, you talk to them about careers, which currently they don't get. So is this a loss? It's a gain for the society, okay? The profession has been lost, yes, but now we have converted those people, those who are convertible, and now they have a new job, the society is better off. All right, so this is the guy I follow. I strongly recommend you follow this guy. The Hurricane is his Twitter handle. He does not want to be known. I invited him for a conference, he doesn't come, okay? Maybe he's here, I don't know. But he tweets every day, says, today, what's new in AI? I can't believe the speed at which this thing is progressing. And he follows multiple Twitter feeds and he connects them, combines them, translates them into Turkish. So this is his comparison of ChatGPT, GPT Plus, that's 4 for you, Bing and Google Bard. So yeah, pay the $20 a month and then get much faster, much more accurate tool. Yeah, buy it for all the students, Hocam. This is not Photoshop, okay? This is like internet now. I mean, we buy LinkedIn Learning for every single student. Do we have to? No, it's $30 a month. But we buy it. We think we owe it to them because we are modest. We don't think we know everything. Some things they should learn from LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning has thousands of hours of video, okay? So the university simply buys LinkedIn Learning for every student, period. End of story. Same thing with this one. Because I assure you, they'll be using this far more heavily than LinkedIn Learning. I think ChatGPT is the best thing that has happened to education. Okay. in our lifetime, certainly, but probably in all history. Before November 30th, the release of GPT 3.5, the best thing that happened to us was the pandemic. Okay, but we successfully blew that. We faked distance education, online education. We basically did our face-to-face lecturing in front of a camera, and we call that online teaching. That was not online teaching. Okay, that was horrific. That was emergency teaching. But günü kurtardık ya. We did all right, so we were happy. I was writing left and right. I was saying, listen, we got caught. We got caught. You talk about technological developments and dönüşüm vesaire yok. Where the heck is it? Middle Eastern Technical University sending students PDF files. If they are good enough with voiceover. İTÜ, not daring, real-time, online. Canlı da değiliz, sallıyorum onun için. Because they thought their service couldn't take it. Asırlardır çağdaş. We realized that we were really totally not ready, okay? The presidents were not ready, the deans were not ready, the faculty wasn't ready, the assistants weren't ready, and the students weren't ready. So what do you do when you're caught like this in the storm? When the weather is better, you prepare, right? So in the first summer, you drop everything and you online proof your university. Have you done that? No. He said, nasıl olsa bitti ya. Arkadan deprem geldi bir vurdu. Online. Same poor online teaching we repeated after the earthquake. So we really blew that opportunity. I thought this was a great opportunity to create online learning communities, to put the teachers where they really belong in designing experiences for students, designing learning environments for the students, triggering peer learning, triggering self-directed learning. I'm sorry, we are dealing with adults, huh? What is this? Us teaching them, us instructing them. That's really low. Do we think so lowly of our students that they cannot learn on their own? Or do we think so highly of ourselves that our material is so important that only we can deliver the best lecture ever? No, you can't. There's been thousands before you. Let the students learn what they can on their own, and then you fill the gaps. You design local experiences for them. You allow them to extend it, to apply it. Oh no, but we kept doing the simplest thing in the hierarchy, okay? Information transfer. Not internalizing, not applying, not combining with other fields. Those require deeper intellectual thought. We just did the simplest thing. We did what we were taught to do, okay? I'm sorry, we need to go beyond that. We are better than that, okay? We're concerned about cheating. Okay, well, ChatGPT is simply Google on hormones, okay? What are you concerned about? Did you forbid Google? No. Before Google, there were proctors. You paid the proctor to actually write your thesis for you. Were you able to prevent that? No, before that, they just cheated in class. Were you able to prevent that? I mean, wherever there's assessment, there will be people who are trying to get around, okay? So yes, ChatGPT is a risk, but it's not a new risk. It's been there forever, okay? It survived for hundreds of years. We will survive this, okay? Just believe in yourselves. It's not that big a deal. You can design assessment systems that are ChatGPT proof. It's really not that hard. You just have to think about it. So here's another way of looking at ChatGPT. I mean, the first reaction was fear and trying to forbid it. What is the word you used? Prohibit. American schools did that. American high schools prohibited the use of ChatGPT. Are you crazy? What are you prohibiting? I mean, you're going to not allow laptops in the classroom. You're going to not allow the student to use a computer at home. I can see that, November 30, it hit. For 1 month, you can prohibit, okay? because you can't change courses midstream. But in the second semester, you have no excuse, I'm sorry. You have the entire semester break to prepare, to revise your course so that it's ChatGPT proof. If you still haven't done it, you have the next summer, then you really have no excuse. The way I look at it is that we've all got the free assistant, okay? I heard the graduate students complaining before, okay? By the way, academics always complain, and they're budding academics. Of course they will complain. And what do you expect? If they don't complain, you should check their pulses. Okay? But we say free assistant, okay? Free tutor. And it's a superb complement to flipped learning. Sorry to plug flipped learning. We've been using flipped learning at MEF for 10 years. We don't teach in class. We shoot a video. The student watches the video before coming to class, sends us questions they don't understand. We talk about the questions they send to us. And we ask them to talk amongst themselves to answer their questions. We're not doing a perfect job. I'll be the first one to admit that. But in an ideal flipped learning lecture, the prof only talks for maybe 10, 15 minutes of the hour. The rest of the time, students talk amongst themselves. Peer learning, peer-assisted learning. And the instructor only, but this requires self-confidence, okay? This requires a level of knowing your stuff that goes beyond just regurgitating, fixed material. So most faculty members are afraid of that. Stop, okay? You know your stuff. Trust yourselves. They cannot really ask you a question that you couldn't possibly answer. If you can't, you answer it in the next lecture, okay? So if you use flipped learning, this is actually beautiful for us. We used to tell them to watch our own videos or videos from Stanford or Khan Academy or what have you, or send them PDFs. Now we can say, go to ChatGPT, learn from ChatGPT, and then come to me. I'm the last resort, okay? So as a result, kicking and screaming, we will be dragged to do less lecturing. Those of us who want to survive, okay? I don't see this as a threat. This is an opportunity. But if you want to survive, you need to stop lecturing, do less lecturing, more discussion, more debate in the classroom, more interaction with the students in the classroom. There's no such thing as passive learning, okay? Rule one of learning, their minds have to be engaged. They have to be talking. To make sure their minds are engaged, they must talk. Otherwise, they could be sleeping and you couldn't notice. You'd think that you delivered the best lecture ever in the history of humankind, yet they were just sleeping. If they talk, if they interact, they're actually learning, okay? That is really a good thing. So I'm very thankful. Türkçesi, şükür ediyorum arkadaşlar ChatGPT. Ellerine sağlık diyorum Sam Altman. It's forcing evolution in education. This is a horrific sector. I know of no other sector that is so resistant to change. Okay? Academics, we are terrible. We are privileged. We paid our dues, and we're gonna milk the cow till we retire. Okay, no more. If you do that, okay. If you're near retirement, you might be able to get away. But if you're a starting faculty member, you're not near retirement. No. You don't need this. You'll be one of the leaders, I know that, one of the early adopters. So I applaud this because I've been calling for an evolution, or actually, evolution is too weak a word, for a revolution, for a disruption in education for many years. I'm an education activist. That's what I am, okay? And now, me talking doesn't mean much. This one is going to do the job, okay? If you don't do it, just watch where your university ends up in 5 years. What's AI? Well, AI is something that tries to mimic human brain. It's simply a collection of stats, econometrics, databases, coding, machine learning, deep learning, neural nets, and so on, okay? It's exploding. Market size of AI is exploding, okay? It's a great opportunity. Economic contribution is measured in trillions of dollars. Unicorns, as of 2022, 117 unicorns, okay? Gazelles, by the way, are animals that are trying to be unicorns. Hızlı büyüyen girişimlere gazel deniyor abi. Ceylan Türkçesi, hızlı. Bunlar unicorn, they are already unicorns. So they reached valuation of $1 billion without doing an IPO, without selling shares to the public. They are all privately held companies. You know, this is a big deal, reaching 1 billion. 5 years ago, there was no Turkish unicorn. Right now, there's Trendyol, Getir, and so on. Although Trendyol has done IPO, so it's not considered a unicorn anymore. But there are several Turkish companies that reached this plateau. 117. It isn't just OpenAI. 117 companies reached $1 billion in evaluation. NVIDIA, we were talking about that, is a $1 trillion company now. $200 billion increase in the value in one day, thanks to AI. Okay, so this is really big. Okay, artificial intelligence programs. Why am I showing you this? I'm showing this to you because I want you to agree with me that AI engineering has separated itself from computer science and computer, what you call incorrectly, computer engineering in Turkey. And it's a field in its own right. We tried to explain this to YÖK. They didn't buy. Açmadılar abi yapay zeka mühendisliği programımızda. Daha doğrusu, I can say this in Turkish. Because I'm too embarrassed. Are we live now?
Just a fair warning.
Well, she thinks of this. Okay, so this factual statement, we have not received a yes or no from YÖK yet. And it's the first one true, okay? And if we receive the word yes, which is still possible, okay, theoretically possible, we need to hire 3 faculty members before the end of the month, okay? So, okay, but they weren't convinced. So we tried to tell them, look, there was no computer science when I was a student. There was no computer engineering. I started Boğaziçi in 1975, and Boğaziçi started its computer science program in 1978, okay? Before that, there was no industrial engineering. We were part of mechanical engineering, okay? I know AI is nothing but modern computer science. Of course I know that. All these courses are courses that we teach in our computer science program. You do too, I'm sure. But it deserves to have its own department now. All of these schools agree with me. So what did we do instead? We've been doing this since 2021. I'm proud to say we offered a minor, Yandal, okay? Highly recommended. Maybe you do it already. If you don't, I'd suggest you strongly suggest you consider it. This is the list. I actually set this up. And I love it when students from political science, psychology, especially economics, take this minor, because this minor makes them employable, okay? Political science students are not employable if they do nothing on top of their political science degree. With this, they become data analysts for companies who understand data analysis and AI experts for companies that don't, okay? So, here's another thing. All of them are online courses. We don't have faculty teaching this, okay? So substitution is already taking place. Nobody lost their jobs, but we did not hire faculty to teach these courses because Coursera teaches them already. Am I going to teach it better than MIT? I don't think so. Let MIT teach it. Let Stanford teach it. But we have one faculty member who coordinates this whole thing. 2 checkup meetings with the class at the middle of the term, at the end of the term, to make sure they've done the work. We give them credit, met credit. And this one is a local project. So if they haven't done this, this is where they bomb, and then they don't complete the minor. İstersen öğrenme abi, senin bileceğin iş. Are we not dealing with adults? Why do we have to check every step they take? Why don't we just check them at the end? And if they haven't completed it, then they don't get their piece of paper that says they completed the minor. I also have a minor on this, similar minor on entrepreneurship, which is very popular with lawyers, with architects, and they're all actually, the next semester, I taught this ChatGPT course. Next semester, I'm teaching a freelance course. You should consider a freelance course. Maybe I'm talking to the wrong person, but yeah, a freelance course. In 10 years, you probably know that half the US labor force will be freelancers. And 30 years, which is during the academic or professional careers of our students, the same thing will happen to Turkey. A freelancer needs to know how to get pension benefits, how to get health insurance, what kind of company to create, how to value his time, how to market himself. So this sort of mixes with entrepreneurship a little bit, but not exactly. So a course on freelancing plus entrepreneurship It's not a bad idea. And here's an even better idea. Why don't you let your students take my course? I'm going to teach it online anyway. Give them credit. Trust me, I have 50 papers. I have 3,000 citations. I'm a real academic. I'm not going to just let them off the hook easily. Why don't we do that in Turkey, abi? Can someone answer this question for me? When I was president at Özyeğin, I wrote to Coach Sabancı. I said, listen, all of you guys are very small, and we cannot really have a legitimate finance PhD program. Why don't we get together and have a joint finance PhD program? The model is from Montreal, okay? All the Montreal universities are combined in joint PhD programs. Guess the answer. Yok hocam biz iyiyiz, biz böyle iyiyiz. Nerede iyisiniz abi ya? None of these schools can afford. Tabii Boğaziçi'ne yazmadı diyor hocam. Çünkü Boğaziçi'nin zaten dirseği çakacağı belli. None of them can actually have a legitimate PhD program in finance. We need finance PhDs in Turkey. So why don't we gather our forces? Her okulda 2 tane, 3 tane hoca var, tamam mı? 2 hocanın ne doktora programısı? Olmadı. Şimdi bunu diyorum işte, hadi yapalım. Bedava. Yetkinlik eğitimi veriyorum. Skills development. Let's do it. Let your students take our courses. But we take some courses from you. I mean, why am I sending my students to take courses from MIT and Chicago and so on? Our students have to take 2 courses from Coursera or edX to graduate. It's a graduation requirement. Why can't I send them to Sabancı or Boğaziçi? It's crazy, isn't it? It's because we know nothing about cooperation. All right, so I got on my high horse. I need to get off my high horse. All right, so I totally lost track of time. I wrote a book on this, okay? 8 Forces Disrupting Education. Sistem çaresi eğitim sizde. You can read this stuff in the book, but this, I think, is a major mover. So is this, and so is this. And then I wrote about 10 trends in education, described how AI is going to transform education. This was summary from my book. Then I asked ChatGPT, how will AI impact education? These are ChatGPT's answers, okay? For example, it says it's going to allow us to select our students better. That doesn't apply to us in Turkey because we don't select our students. Okay, our students are assigned to us, basically. There's an overlap. I'm going to stick to what I wrote and tell you about, and this is the ChatGPT answer. Very important. AI will revolutionize education, but it will not replace teachers entirely. What it's not saying is, it's not saying it will not replace any of the teachers. It's saying it will not replace teachers. It will, have no doubt, replace some teachers who are resistant to change, okay? And it should. We don't need 1.1 million K-12 teachers in Turkey. We don't, okay? We don't need to teach macroeconomics in 205 universities in Turkey. I mean, Refet Gürkaynak, Mahfiye İlmez. If you want it in English, Refet can teach it in English. If you want it in Turkish, Mahfi can teach it in Turkish. You can do it, online, and then people in their local schools can do the labs, can do the discussions. In economics, there's always discussions and debates, okay? So that doesn't really relegate the econ teacher at University X into an inferior position. It actually puts him into a position where he's most useful. Once the student's thought process is triggered by the online lecture, then he's willing to open the learning window and you go in. All right, so this to me is the most important contribution of AI. Personalized learning, okay? What we have is horrific. I actually cannot believe I survived this education system. Okay, I have ADHD, and I prefer to learn on my own. So the current system is actually designed to bury me, okay? Somehow I managed. Trust me, many of us don't. Many of us are actually buried. Our Secretary General had a boy. He learned to read on his own at age 3.5. And I said, I'm really sorry to hear that. I'm really sorry for your family. Because there's no way our education system can handle a super intelligent child with 140 plus IQ. So in this country, if you are actually out of the ordinary. The education system is likely to shut you out as opposed to push you forward. Keep that in mind. You can change the speed, okay? I used to get bored in class, really. I mean, you explain to me things once, I get it, okay? Second time, I don't want it. The third time, I'm really bored. Somebody asks a question, so my God, why are we wasting this time? And then I tell this teacher to move on, and that teacher moves on, and the person in the back feels left out. So AI takes care of that. You go at your own speed. If you want, you can watch my talk at 1.5. If you want, you can watch it 5 times. Also, some people like to put theory first. This is how I learned. And I realized in Canada was if I put the practice first, if I sell the subject first, students are more likely to learn. So some people like theory first, some people like practice first. Why can't we change the sequence? You can with AI. Parallel versus sequential, what does that mean? Currently, we learn history, we learn geography, okay? We learn Turkish literature. I want to learn it all together. While I'm learning history, I also want to learn about the geography. For example, İkinci Viyana kuşatması, Second Siege of Vienna. I mean, what we read is chronological history. I hate that. I want to know what's happening in France while we are trying to take over Vienna. I want to know what happens in China at the same time. I want to know why Kırım Hanlığı is on our side, whereas the Poles are on the other side. And I also don't want to know about how many days the siege took. I want to know about the logistics because I am inside me, there's an engineer. Okay, we don't know that yet, but in high school, there's an engineer inside me. And I'm curious about the logistics. How do you actually move an army of 50,000 from one location to another on foot? How do you serve them meals? Who boils their coffee? Do they actually play music at night? I'm interested in these things, okay? I don't want to learn about the name of the commandante and how many days it took to do the siege and so on. So I want to learn history the way I want to learn it. I want to learn it vertically, and I will learn geography while I'm learning history, which is impossible in today's education system. It is possible if you let AI teach me, because AI will quickly understand my learning style and will feed me the material at that pace and at the sequence that I prefer. Some people learn best from text. I learn great from text. My students learn from video. Our students live in Twitch, you know that, right? Our students live in YouTube, okay? Are you in YouTube? I hope you are in YouTube. If you're not in YouTube, you are missing our students, okay? You should be in Twitch, you should be in YouTube. So if somebody wants to learn through video, they should. If they want to just listen, for example, these days I listen to Blinkist, you know, Blinkist, yeah. The summaries, I mean, 6 minutes, you know, the most recent book I listened to, it's about psychopaths. I decided that I'm a psychopath, but the book also says that's not a bad thing, okay? Listen to that book, right? You might find you're a psychopath too. I'm not saying sociopath, okay? And I'm not saying borderline psychopath. So I don't have tendencies to kill people, so don't you worry. I may be very animated, but I'm harmless. So I learn through audio and I learn through text. I don't like videos, they're too long for me. So AI can accommodate that. I don't like gamification, okay? I just want upfront learning, but my students love gamification. Let them have it. I love interaction. Some people don't like interaction. They just want to read the text. Let them have it. You can't do any of this in class. You realize that, right? You either serve one side or the other, okay? Do you realize what smaller percentage of the students you're actually serving in terms of their learning needs and learning preferences? It's minuscule, okay? If you're lucky, it's 5%. I want to learn in 3 months what you learn in 6 months, or I want to learn it in 9 months. I want to have an assignment every day to make sure that I'm on track. Maybe you just want an assignment every 3 months. I don't know. AI actually can predict, okay? If I'm having trouble with derivatives and if I'm doing physics, it's going to send me to learn derivatives. In a physics class, you can't do that. You say, ya oğlum sen bunu öğrenmedin ya matematik dersinde. At best, you go and bitch the math teacher. Why didn't you teach these kids how to do derivatives? AI will simply switch to math and will teach you how to take the derivative and then take you back to physics. And it will predict that you might have a problem with this because you had a problem with that. Because it now knows you better than you yourself. You know yourself. Tutoring help, of course. You don't understand it in class. just go to a chatbot and talk to it till the cows come home. I don't care how long. But your assistants complain because they have to work more than 20 hours a week. It's because there are no chatbots. Why aren't there any chatbots? Bring on the chatbots. Let the chatbots handle as much of the tutoring as possible. This is not possible now, okay? But in 5 years, if you're still using no chatbots and just assistants, you've been behind times. And 24/7. And people with learning disabilities, okay? So I'm sorry, no contest, okay? No contest. By far, the superior way of learning is through a machine. Not only by the machine. I didn't get that either, sorry. But putting the person where he can do the most benefit to the student. Mentoring, answering questions, guidance, career planning, local projects, and let the information transfer be handled by the machines. I mean, I get really upset when I think about, especially K-12 students, okay? You're thinking of yourself right now, okay? Because you see this as a threat. You are well educated, okay? And it's, of course, much more difficult to replace somebody who's actually doing a really good job. But imagine the average K-12 teacher, okay? The average K-12 teacher received a 50% passing mark on his subject area. Matematik öğretmeni matematik sınavından %50 alıyor. Okay? So he knows math, maybe. Some of it he knows, okay? He's bored. Maybe he had a fight with his wife or she had a fight with the husband. Maybe the class is rubbing him the wrong way. He comes to class and he teaches, maybe he teaches something wrong. Maybe he's upset that day. That's the person you're dealing with. And on the other side, you have this thing, which has no feeling. It doesn't feel bad. It works 7/24. And it can do all of this. Yeah, I think the real place where machines should replace human teachers in content delivery only is high schools, not elementary. That's where socialization takes place, okay? For anaokulu, K through 5, teachers are perfectly safe. Middle school, mostly safe, but in high school, students are adults, okay? That's where I would like to see the first major transformation, like in autonomous vehicles, the first major transformation will be with the trucks, okay? The trucks of the education system will be the high schools. Students can do all of this. They can review articles, they can summarize articles, they can quickly generate reports. And if you're upset by this, why are you crazy? I mean, I remember my first wife, when we went to Canada, she had to actually take a medical technician exam, and she had to use a log table in the exam. Log table. Why do you need to use a log table? There are calculators. Even the Canadian system was so far behind that she was forced to use a log table. It's because the people administering the exam felt threatened by calculators, and they wanted to continue the kingdom of the log tables. I used math. There were no calculators when I was in high school. I don't know what this is called. In German, it's called Schieberlehre. Weißt du das immer noch? Schieberlehre. Slide rule, slide rule. I use math. I used to do arithmetic on slide rule. Okay. Hesap cetveli. Böyle kaydırırsın falan ya. Why? When calculators came in, people tried to prohibit students from using calculators. Now nobody's even thinking about that. Nobody's thinking about making Excel illegal. When I was a student, we used to plot data by hand. Nobody plots data by hand anymore. Everybody uses Excel. So we accepted that. Why don't we accept ChatGPT to do the preliminary data analysis? Yeah, preliminary data analysis is zaten for slaves. Rakamları alacaksın, toplayacaksın, ortalaması, bir sınırlar sapması, histogramı bilmem ne. Bunu insan evladı yapmasın artık yani. That should really bother us. And then they can take fake exams, get ready for the exam, and they can get personalized feedback on exams. Baba, I don't care how many hours you put into the assistance, you can never provide personalized feedback as well as the machine. It's clear, isn't it? ChatGPT will provide, and it's going to get better and better and better. Right now, what you see in ChatGPT is emekleyen bir bebek. It's a crawling baby, okay? In 5 years, you're not going to believe your eyes, your ears, your brain. What about assessment and feedback? I'll give you one example to rest my case on this. Turkish University Placement Exam. 2020 AYT, that's the first exam. 46.2 out of 100 correct answers. Okay, so they figured it was an easy exam. They said, well, let's make it a bit more difficult next year. Next year, average 29.6. Okay. Okay, so what do? You scale it, of course, right? They didn't. And the minimum barrage stayed the same. Maybe 100,000, 200,000 students were declared ineligible for university because they just happened to take a harder exam. Only a human can screw up so badly, okay? Only a human can screw up so badly. What about the feedback? You get the score. What else do you get? Nothing. Nothing. 540 almışım. Which questions did you miss? I don't know. You know what our students do? Maybe you don't, because you don't deal with these high school students. You see them after they come to university. They look up the answers in the newspapers. And then they guess. They remember, they memorize their answers and they compare it. Abi böyle feedback olur mu Allah'ını seversiniz ya? Çocuk, he's going to have to remember the questions and compare it. And we think this is acceptable? Take a hike, guys. Come on, come on. I mean, no human child should be subjected to this kind of torture, yeah? Ondan sonra format, multiple choice. Hello, this is the 21st century. Multiple choice. This is what happens when you use humans to do to deliver a gargantuan size exam. Tries to be fair, okay? Bunlara mahkum değiliz ya. We could do much better than this through machines. Okay, what can we do? How can we assess using ChatGPT? Well, if you're used to ask students to write code at home, kiss goodbye to that, okay? If you're used to ask them to write essays at home, kiss goodbye to that. So what, okay? All right, if you want to continue to do that, here are 5 solutions for you. You can let them swear that they've done this on their own without ChatGPT. Good luck to you, okay? In Turkey, good luck to you. This actually works in the US. I'm embarrassed to say, but this works in the US. In Canada, I can give the students an exam and just walk out of the room. Nobody cheats. Try that in Turkey, okay? So honor code does not work in Turkey, okay? If you are teaching during sabbatical in the US or in some other country that actually has some ethics, you can rely on honor code. In Turkey, you can't. You can use a GPT detector. Good luck with that, because GPT detectors are worse than GPT itself. They say, oh, this is, it claims that it has written it, although I know that I have written it, okay? Or it sometimes doesn't recognize something that it has produced. So this one doesn't work either. And this is the Turnitin. So, arkadaşlar, why am I talking about these things? These are the things that denize düşen yılana sarılır. Our faculty members tried these really bad solutions. Okay, let's use a detector like Turnitin. It doesn't work, okay? Here's something that will work. Ask them to write the code in real time. Oturun yazın oğlum, sınıfta. Sorting mi ne? Sen yaz, sınıfta yaz. Essay, 1 paragraph. Why don't you do it in class? Hocam, that's not good use of class time. I beg to differ. That's exactly the right use of standard class time. That's what they should be doing in class, okay? They should be creating in class. They shouldn't be just listening to you, drone on hand, ad infinitum, okay? They should be active, so they should be doing work, okay? Or you can ask them to do the essay at home, and then you can give them an oral exam. Sapır sapır dökülüyorlar abi, ChatGPT'ye yazdırmışsın. You just 3-minute oral exam. Hey, this is nothing revolutionary. I took oral exams in high school. Every class, 3 oral exams. Sözlü yapılırdı arkadaşlar. Bring them back. Or you can find another way of assessing. You say, go ahead and use ChatGPT and then critique the ChatGPT results. You write something, let ChatGPT write something, and then critique the two, and then combine, give me another result, or some other creative way. I don't do any of this, okay? Because I assess through real-world projects. Hadi kullan ChatGPT, real-world project. You need to go out and collect data, okay? You can't make it up. You have to collect real data in a real company, solve a real problem. Can ChatGPT not help? Yes, it can help. It can help you design the experiment, but that's good. It's less work for you. We want the students to get all the help they can from the outside before they actually engage their own brains. So use a local problem, real data analysis, teamwork, presentations. You need to do nothing. So ChatGPT, gelsin abi bana ne? It made zero effect on me because this is how I assess anyway. I teach management consulting. I teach skills. Skills, you need to demonstrate the skill, presentation skills. Right now, I'm demonstrating presentation skills, right? You need to let the student present to you. ChatGPT can't do that. So it's not all doom and gloom, okay? This is very important. I'm not saying it's not important to learn English anymore, but I'm saying ChatGPT's primary use might be in language acquisition. And another maybe bigger use might be you could take a course on, say, Renaissance architecture that is taught in Italian, you could take the course in English by using a digital voice assistant. Okay? That opens up, I mean, Coursera opened up all English-speaking universities to all students, right? Now, this will open up all universities to all the students because the language barrier is completely removed. Huge advantage of ChatGPT. I still think people should speak the language because many reasons. I mean, you can't, I want to watch the movie in English. I want to understand the sense of humor. I want to be able to read a non-trivial text without having to rely on a translator. And learning English, come on, it's not that hard. It is worth the price, okay? I'm trying to convince my students that it's nonsense to just assume you can have everything Google translated or voice. Maybe in 10 years, I'll change my mind. But right now, I still think they should learn English. Because there's all these idioms, all these sarcastic comments, all the irony that you may or may not be able to translate correctly. Student selection, if we were allowed to choose our own students, this is another area where AI would help. Because right now, engineering, law, medicine, psychology, political science, business, all is in one exam. Well, I'm sorry, at MEF, I want entrepreneurial students. I want to test their entrepreneurial attributes. Maybe you are a techie school and you want to test their math skills. You want to weigh their math skills more heavily. Maybe you're a mid-level technical school. You want them to apply what they know. So you want to see their projects. You want to see their dossier. None of that is possible through one exam. But with AI, we could have customized exams in each area. Kürşat Hocam made this point today. This is an area where I think we'll see the first big change because corporates are not like us. They are driven by profits, costs, revenues, and costs, okay? So they will be the first adopters. They've been the first adopters of technology, by the way. I've been a consultant to Yapı Kredi Academy on LMS and on training people with CVs. They were ages ahead of universities. And on AI, they will also be ages ahead. Talent selection, continuing education, performance assessment, admin tasks, cost reduction, they will do it first. And then we will say, well, why don't we do it? And I suspect the foundation universities will follow because of their close connection to the real world. And then maybe the state universities will follow. Basically, right now, what we need to do is we need to focus on digital literacy training for both students and faculty. You need to have basically something I suggested during the pandemic, no school did it, but you realize that the game has changed. Students are not coming to school anymore, okay? They're not coming to school. As soon as you allow them to take the course in a hybrid fashion, they choose to stay home. So we need to be the best online teachers we can be, okay? So that we're not taught, we don't know how to do that. So we need to be trained, and that the onus is on the administration to train the faculty to become good online delivery people. And of course, we need to, I mean, one size fits all doesn't work. Highly centralized systems don't work. You need to have a small group of people who give you a free hand to just experiment. I'm that person at MEF, okay? I can do whatever I want. Experiment with whatever course you want to teach. If you do something right, tell us. If you do something wrong, just stop doing it. That's That's my job. You need to have a few people like that, and people who are keen to experiment. Bu şey ne? Corporate entrepreneurship gibi yani. There are some corporate entrepreneurs. Most academics aren't, okay? Most academics are memur. Some academics are actually entrepreneurial. Find the 5 to 10% academics that are entrepreneurial, let them experiment, and let them share. You have this event already, beautiful, okay? So why don't you do a benchmark? Why don't people come and share their best practices? You have a best practices conference, ERG does that too. So the reason I say this to you is because I think you can do this. Most universities can't, okay? Sabancı can. Okay, so I would like to see you as a front runner in the adaptation of AI in curriculum and teach others, okay? AI will never bring an end to education. Do not worry, okay? But the channels are changing, the delivery methods are changing, and we need to adapt. I mean, when I talk to high school students, I tell them the only skill that you need to be really cognizant about is adaptation, because things are changing so fast. When we ask our students to evolve with times, why don't we ourselves evolve with times as well? All right, so here's what AI is doing. Chegg shares drop more than 40% after company says ChatGPT is killing its business. You know what Chegg is?
We do.
It's a cheating company, okay? Look at that. I'm really sorry to see this. Okay? I'm really sorry. Look at that. It's market cap $1.2 billion. Okay? After the drop, $1.2 billion. Türk Hava Yolları'nın 1/3 büyüklüğünde kopya şirketi. Okay? ChatGPT is killing them. Yeah, that's great. Okay? Next up will be tutors. Okay? All right, so I'm going to show you 3 very recent examples. Projects from our course. I asked our students to do 2-minute videos. Okay. Can I still do that? Should I still do that?
Yeah. Sure.
Maybe I'll do the storytelling one. I'll skip the language learning. Are there English teachers here? Yes. Okay, maybe I'll do the language learning. Just please run the language learning. Lingualink.
Hello everyone, this is our project Lingualink. 4.3 million people in the most populous countries searched Learn English in 2022. Therefore, we designed Lingualink as a solution for this problem. Our purpose of the Lingualink is to provide an innovative and interactive way for users to learn new language with the help of the ChatGPT. Our mission is to help users improve their language skills with supportive chatbots and reading coach. After that, ChatGPT receives instant feedback to users. Moreover, the site is designed to support multiple language. Users can learn any language they want. And at Lingualink, our target audience is the beginners. We understand that learning language can be challenging, but we are here to provide an effective way for you to improve yourself in a new language. What makes us unique? We use ChatGPT for creating a limitless learning environment, and this system was designed for fear of making mistake because there is no judgment, just you and ChatGPT. And our site is really easy to use for the users. And let's talk about the details.
Hi everyone, now I introduce you to Reading Coach. It's basically a reading text generator for every language. To start, users must provide the language and their level. After that, ChatGPT will generate a text and the 3 questions. Users will give answers, and if one of the answers is incorrect, the Reading Coach will fix it. And our chatbot, it's your friend, but it will correct you every mistake, like a good friend. It's so easy to use the chatbot because you just type the language you want to improve and the topic to discuss with the chatbot. Like in this one, we make a lot of mistakes in the question, but chatbot corrects the mistakes and it keeps going with the conversation. And users can continue their chit-chat until they're bored. And how did we do it? We use our OpenAI API key in Python to get an interface in the Gradio. So basically, Gradio provides us a temporary link to add the Google sites in the HTML code. In this way, we can use ChatGPT on our website in a limited time. Thank you for listening, guys. If you want to see our website, you can scan the QR code.
None of these guys are computer science students. They actually had to learn this on their own create the API, code, and then interface, and they have it in 2 months. Actually, this would take probably 3 days if you know what you're doing. But our students actually had to learn this, so it took them a bit longer. Nereden buldun bunları? Sen bir bana destek vermeye devam etsene. Storyteller. The second one, I like them. I liked it a lot. By the way, do you realize that their fear is judgment? They don't want to be judged. Okay.
Peer pressure.
Evet. Peer de değil. Hocanın önünde kötü duruma düşmek istemiyor. Dolayısıyla insanla yapmak istemiyor zaten bu egzersizi.
John, we hear a lot about this in our active learning classes and lib classes. Like most of the silent students, when they give feedback through our backend system, they say they were silent because they were shy to be shunned in front of their
Şey açıyorsun. Evet, WhatsApp videoyu açıyorsun.
Hello everybody, today we are going to talk about story generator project that we have done in Erhan Hoca's using ChatGPT as a virtual collaborator.
Content generation is very big.
When we were looking for an idea to convert into a project, we were sure that we wanted to include content creation in the process. So after research, we came up with the idea of making celebrities tell sarcastic stories about absurd things with the power of AI. Here's how we done it. We went to ChatGPT to write a story for us. He wrote numerous prompts and we gave it all of our language, topic, and sensitivity preferences to get the most suitable story for our concept. After we got our story, we needed a background image. So we defined what we had in our minds as prompt and made Stable Diffusion, Shutterstock, and Photo to create the background image for us. And of course, we needed someone to tell the story, but we didn't want to tell it by ourselves. We wanted Donald Trump to tell our story. So we paid $1, which is equivalent to 20 Turkish lira, to 11 Labs for its custom voice feature. And after a couple of minutes later, Mr. Trump started to sing like a bird. At the end, we wanted to put them all in together in another AI-powered website, Pictory. So we add background music and subtitles to our video and upload it into YouTube. You can watch the video from the Stories for Kids channel, which has 4 subscribers now. So before we move on, we've done one more thing in 11 Labs. So let's see what we got here.
Ladies and gentlemen, today I will present you with an amusing story about Turkey's education policies. I want to share a thought process regarding AKP's approach to education. We have a brand new vision in education. Textbooks will now be colorless and devoid of excitement because why should our children experience the vibrant world around them? Let's ditch ordinary math lessons and focus on the practical skill of counting how many tea glasses one can lift. Our teachers will be like superheroes. We'll distribute capes and masks to them so they can scare not only the students but also evil thoughts in the classroom. Who wouldn't love our education system filled with such innovations? Remember, with AKP's education policies, we can truly have a fun-filled future. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, today I will present...
So, one sentence prompt. Write a sarcastic story about AKP's education policies. Doesn't tell them where AKP is, what kind of party AKP is, which country. It's a generic story. Imagine what you can do to this if you actually gave ChatGPT some context. Simple prompt, and all these Shutterstock, Photo, all these applications, the students dug up on their own. Okay, this is real teaching. I don't teach them anything. I just inspire them. They go find the tools, they connect the tools, and they create this. Now, I don't know why they switched to sarcastic stories, but the original idea was even better. It was meant at the, it was targeting the kindergarten students. And suppose that day something happens in the kindergarten that you think is worthy of life lesson. Suppose Ali refuses to share his toy with Ahmed, and then Aisha wants to interfere and Ali pushes Aisha or something like that, okay? So you tell ChatGPT the story. Give me a 3-minute story that will teach the good thing about sharing toys and why we shouldn't push others and so on. And then ChatGPT writes the story. And then they go to Fodder or something, or Shutterstock, they find a visual that represents Ahmet, maybe a bully, okay? And then they do a voiceover, and then they put background music and they put subtitles. And imagine you're a kindergarten teacher, something happens in class, and instead of telling Ahmet, you shouldn't really do that, you should share your toys with Ali. You just go, in 5 minutes, you show them this video. This is how people will learn. This is how people will learn in the future, okay? I thought that was a much better application. But bu Z generation böyle abi işte. Sarcastic stories, voiceover by işte famous people. Takes them scary thing, 1 minute to train the voiceover. They gave me a bit of an English accent, but I suppose I could live with that. I'll show you the last one now. This is something that is not from my class. I'm actually working on this with an assistant myself. Evet, YouTube'da. Şeyde var benim, o PowerPoint'e gidersen orada var.
Chatbot en alt.
Şu en altta, buraya tıkla. Oynatırsan tıklayabilirsin. Oynat. Actually, this is not one of my students. He's a Yıldız Technical University student.
Or, yes.
We found out. Hello everyone, today I will show you the workflow which we prepared while developing the chatbot whose name is Erhan Erkut. Firstly, we found a main open source project on GitHub. The project started to be developed in May. Although it's new, it has attracted the attention of many people. We were one of those people and we set up the project by following the instructions to use it as the basis for our own project. Secondly, we analyzed the project files in detail before making the updates to the files. The project worked as follows. First, the program asks us to upload the files you will ask questions about. Then the program scans the files using ChatGPT artificial intelligence engine which developed by OpenAI and saves the contents of the files to a database. Then the program becomes ready to ask questions. Finally, after you ask your question, the program searches for information about your question from the database, where it saves the file contents and turns to the information it finds into an answer using the AI engine. After understanding how the program was developed, we made our own updates for our chatbot and completed the first version of Erhan Erkut.
Okay, so this is my new baby. You ask a question. Lise mezunlarının eksik olduğu noktalar nelerdir? Hedef belirleme, zaman yönetimi, planlama, İngilizce becerisi, blah, blah, blah. I uploaded, whatever you want, probably 500 pages of documents. I mean, my competitive advantage is I have this in writing already. I wrote a book. I wrote 2 books, one on university selection and one on education system crashing down, okay? And I wrote 130 blog articles and about 40 or so Medium articles. Everything has been uploaded now. And now you can ask questions. What do high school students need? Okay, here's the answer. Tercih yaparken nelere dikkat etmeliyim? Sabancı Üniversitesi'ni seçmeyin. Özellikle özgürlükçü, esnek, profesyonel gelişime önem veren, çevrim içi eğitim kapasitesi olan üniversiteleri tercih edin.
Biz söylüyoruz hocam.
Ha? Varsınız burada abi. Şakaydı. Bu tam sizsiniz, evet. Evet. Şimdi buraya üniversite adı koymak yerine attribütleri veriyorum. Tamam mı? Nelere önem vermek? Geleceğin meslekleri yerine geleceğin meseleleri. Forget about the jobs of the future. Concentrate about the problems of the future. If you can solve the problems of the future, you'll have the job of the future. And 21st century skills need to develop. So extracurricular activities, internships, projects, important. Okay? So some of you know, I mean, it goes on. How should we create a selection list? And it's not all perfect. So how is our education system? Context, Türkiye'de eğitim sistemi ciddi sorunlarla karşı. Çözüm olarak ne yapılmalı? Context, Girişimcilik Bakanlığı Müdürlüğü kurulmalı. What? It jumps obviously. I mean, not it takes some time to train this animal, okay? It's like a baby. You need to teach it slowly. Right now we started teaching it. and it's not live yet, but soar.erkut.com will be the website. And July 17, we are expecting the tercih dönemi to start. And I'm going to be spending 10 hours a day with students. This thing will spend 24 hours a day with students. And I will be monitoring this. I'll be, my assistants will be monitoring it. Of course, we'll add voice to it. I don't know if you can add video to it. It's possible to add video to it. You need to have video taken from 16 different angles, and then your mouth will move according to the text. Okay? It's going to be creepy. Okay? This is all possible. It's not going to be as good as live, but it will allow me to reach many, many, many, many more students. And then they'll come and say, if they come to me, I'll say, did you ask the chatbot? Say, yes, I asked the chatbot, and it said this. Okay, I'm going to add to that. So I won't have to repeat what I already wrote in the book. Like I said, people don't read books in Turkey. Okay? But this is high tech, and they will actually listen to the chatbots. And this will make my life much easier in guiding students on which universities to choose and how to plan their careers. I mean, the idea came from my assistant who came with me to about 15 different meetings. And then at the 16th meeting, she could answer the questions just as well as I could. Okay. So I thought, if I can teach a human being, why can't I teach a machine? And I shared this with Softtek, the largest IT company in Turkey at the time. They said it's possible, but it'll take 6 months, blah, blah. 2 days. Okay. Back then, it took 6 months, but this took 2 days. Anyone can do that if you have the PDF files. Okay. So imagine your courses. If you have PDF files, you can put your course in there. That doesn't replace you. It gives the student, gives you a first line of defense. The student goes there first. If they get it, that's great. Maybe 30 of the 40 students will get it. You'll deal with the 10 who need extra help. That just makes you so much more effective teacher. So it's not going to replace us, don't worry. But we need to play ball. We need to collaborate, cooperate with it. We should not exclude it. We should not view it as a competitor. We should view it as a collaborator. Just don't check this yet because it's going to give you crappy answers. But in a month or so, go check it. Why don't you do it for your own university? I mean, this is, personally, I have 500 pages, but I'm sure you have more than 500 pages for the university. Üniversitenin bölümleri hakkında sorular soracak. Adam girsin sorsun, aynısını frequently asked questions'dan da alamaz mı? Alır ama arayıp bulması lazım. Bu buluyor işte. Çocuğa tam nokta atışı, çünkü this is what the Z generation wants. They want the answer now. They don't want to search for it. We give it to them. Okay? Bunu ilk defa sizin üniversitenizde söylüyorum. Yapın abi. Yapın ve yani tercih dönemini de böyle işte high-tech üniversite falan. Görüntü de güzel. İçerik de var. Yap. Olay bu abi. Ben buradayım. Var mı şimdi Emre? Kaçırdığım bir yer var mı?
Yok hocam. We are done. If you want, we can proceed with the Q&A. Okay. Stop the live broadcast if you want, and then do the Q&A.
I don't mind continuing the live broadcast now that I criticize the AKP's education policies in public. But that wasn't me, you see. That was ChatGPT.
Yes. Legal liability. I
don't have legal liability. I don't have intellectual property. So,
okay, a round of applause for your effort.
Thank you.
Okay, I can help moderate. I have my own questions, but I don't want to use the privilege to start with mine. So if anybody has any questions and reactions, I can help moderate the Q&A. Try to ask questions instead of giving long comments because we don't have much time. Go ahead, please.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Erhan from Business School. You started with a story about your daughter and her critical thinking ability. And somewhere along the way, in the presentation, you talked about asking the students to critique what ChatGPT writes. I just want to ask about your practice, how you implement and ask your students to learn critical thinking, how you teach them critical thinking using AI alongside AI.
That's a good question. It really is not my job to teach critical thinking, although it's forced upon us. Critical thinking should be taught in the kindergarten. right? Elementary school at latest. Unfortunately, it's not. So the way we trigger critical thinking is we keep asking questions in class. Sometimes we give them incorrect answers. And then say, what do you think? What should this company do? Should they sell the company? It's a nonsensical answer, okay? Or should they enter a joint venture with this foreign outfit? Or should they start selling this low-cost product to increase their revenues, okay? And then they start talking. Cases help tremendously in business. In fact, I would not take any business program seriously if they're not using any cases. I'm sorry, you're not teaching science. We're teaching a profession that relies on analytical thinking, critical thinking, and we should practice that in the classroom. It's just like nursing, okay? So critical thinking is triggered through cases and discussion and debate. In Turkey, unfortunately, discussion is looked down upon. People are offended when you disagree with them in public. So the first thing you do is you establish trust in the classroom. Incredibly important. When you think your students are not talking, it's because they don't trust you. I am the founder of Yetken, Yetkin Gençler. I have about 1,200 students there. In the first lecture, we tell them there's no discrimination, no violence in communication. Şiddetsiz iletişim. All opinions are welcome, and we will first give positive feedback, and then we talk about things that can be improved. We will never give negative feedback. When you say that, I mean, everybody feels included. Where are you from?
Iran.
You're from Iran. In Turkey, what would you guess is the percentage of minorities or oppressed people?
Oppressed people.
Yeah. People who feel that they are inferior to the others for whatever reason. Excellent. It's not less than 40-50%. All women, okay, that's 50% right there. All Alawis, all Kurds, all lesbians, gays, and LGBT members, all atheists. That's 85-90% of the population. Okay, so you are mainstream only if you are male, Sunni, Muslim, white Turk. Okay, so that's why nobody talks. Nobody talks because they don't want to be looked down upon. So I mean, I'm an engineer, I'm a business prof, and I realized this at age maybe 60. That you need to establish trust first before you can start educating people. Without trust, there is no critical thinking, there is no discussion, there is no debate. We say Turkish students don't speak. It's because they don't want to be looked down upon. They don't want to be shunned. So you need to first establish that, okay? It has nothing to do with critical thinking, but it's the prerequisite for critical thinking. Then people start talking. I cannot shut them up immediately because they know they will not be judged. You saw, they're afraid of being judged in the English language up here. Then the deluge comes, baraj yıkılıyor. But the collaboration that we think does not exist naturally in the Turkish society comes out because we're all humans. We all want to collaborate. We know it's better together, okay? But we are inhibited. You need to remove the inhibitions first, and then you need to use cases. If you remove the inhibitions, you'll become the most liked teacher in the faculty immediately because people really want to trust each other and they want to be able to trust you. They need to put their guards down, open up before they can discuss in sincerely and honestly. Very different answer, perhaps, but I learned this in my 40 years of teaching.
Thank you. Any other questions? We have multiple of them. Let's start this way and we can proceed.
We've been talking about we can access it faster and faster thanks to ChatGPT. And you're born in an education system. You spend a significant amount in the education system. And if the education system starts to give you faster and faster access to information, do you have any concerns about, because the real life doesn't really work as fast. Do you have any concerns about those expectations mismatching in the real world?
Yes, we will have to live and see. What I'm realizing is that the consumption rate is much higher in today's youth than it was for me. I mean, we used to go to one movie per week, and we were very happy. Now they want to watch 6, 7 of a series, binge watching. Okay, their lives are around 1.5, 2 minute videos on Twitter or on Facebook. So you replace that with learning. Can the material be internalized if it's learned at that rate? I don't know the answer. And I think we just have to experiment with it, wait and see. It's actually our job to make sure that they internalize the material. Yeah, knowledge is free, but is perhaps the intake rate too high? If so, how do we slow it down? That's going to be our next challenge. Çok hızlıysa yavaşlatmamız gerekecek bir şey. Ama first we have to see. So it's a good question. It's a progressive question. You're looking forward. That's good because you're young. You have to live in this educational academic world for the next 50 years. Maybe that's going to be the challenge. Right now we're trying to speed things up. Maybe the challenge will be to slow it down.
Want to ask a question?
Yani, I have some ideas. In my lectures, for example, what I learned was the golden key to teaching, apart from the trust story, is to modulate the cognitive load. Does that make sense to you? Zihinsel yükün dalgalandırılması gerekiyor. So you can't take them up, and then you can't keep them at the high level for 50 minutes and then end of class. Because then they take 10-minute break, next person comes in, and what you'll see is interference. Materials will interfere. The student will completely forget what he learned because he never really learned. To make sure that learning actually takes place, you need to intersperse your teaching. Let's say you're teaching an 80-minute class. You need to have at least 15 minutes in that 80 minutes that is set aside for discussion, debate, music, watching videos, stretching, resting, chatting with their neighbors. You can't lecture for 80 minutes on straight. Lecture maybe for 15 minutes, and then you do a little vote, and then you watch a video. So you let them down a little bit, intellectual load, and then you take them up again. And you do that, they actually learn in this period when they're taken down. So read a book on how do we learn. It's brain science, okay? It'll tell you that we need to just modulate. So maybe we need to apply the same technique. So maybe ChatGPT needs to intersperse its machine gun approach with some light music in the middle before it moves on to the next paragraph. So this is not new. We've known this for a long time. Right now it's coming. We used to drink from this. Now we are drinking from the fire hose. Okay, so we need to sometimes squeeze the fire hose.
I also expect that people have opinions of what they have more power and they can do on their own, on their own rather than collaborating with other people. So it's going to be another challenge to how to make that collaborative environment with other people.
Right.
So I think, as you mentioned, like the concepts as trust or explainability or literacy, I think also, even if we have the infrastructure in Turkey to maybe apply these AI technologies, we have enough people to actually also teach these societal concepts to actually have them useful in the future, not just for production and consumption.
So
and having new.
Right now you're describing how our jobs will evolve in the future. We're going to have to be social coach as well. We're going to have to understand a bit more about human psychology. Can't just know our own topic and that's it. So we are actually becoming more interesting, more versatile, more multidimensional people as teachers. I welcome that. I mean, I'm so happy that I'll be seeing the next 30 years.
So first of all, thank you for your very exciting presentation. My question is actually to our instructors, hopefully with your insight. So I was wondering what would be the downside of upload about this chatbot? what would be the downside of uploading all our NS and SPS materials, let's say, to the chatbot, and on top of that, maybe the mathematical syllabus as well, because I've seen a lot of students struggling with basic mathematics and hesitating to asking about that during recitations, and then use that chatbot during the recitation, solving problems, working on the questions.
Oh, I think you should let them use the chatbot on their own. Chatbot time is outside classroom. In the classroom, there's still interaction. I really see no downside. I mean,
yeah, me either. That's
if you can make sure that it doesn't give any factually incorrect answers. So training it takes time. Okay, how you ask a question, if you get the wrong answer, you tell them that it's the wrong answer. So depending on the algorithm in the background, it makes sure it creates a new links in the database, new tags in the database. Or if it gives you the girişimcilik answer to an education question, you say, no, that's the wrong answer. It deletes that tag, and then it tags something on education. If you ask the same question again, well, that's what we call training the machine. I'm very lucky because I have 1,200 students. I can train this thing in 1 week. 1,200 students, 1 week, boom. You should do the same. You should not roll it out before thoroughly training it. Because if they get incorrect information, then they can say, hey, your chatbot taught me the incorrect thing. That's why I got the low mark on the exam. That's a risk, but you can minimize that risk by thoroughly testing it with students and teaching. It depends on how good the algorithm is. This is something free, okay? These things will come at us in dozens. There will be many different algorithms out there that you can buy. And if you're a university, you can spend a couple $1,000 maybe to buy a high-end instead of this free version. So I see no downside, but it should be kept out of the classroom. Classroom is for face-to-face interaction, for human interaction. You want to use the chatbot, use it on your own. Use the chatbot. I have an online high school in Canada, okay? And the model, I have not been able to implement this yet, but the model is the following. On Monday, you learn on your own. On Tuesday, I partner you with another student. You discuss with that student because he's learned the same thing on Monday. On Wednesday, I put you in a group of, say, 6, and I give a teaching assistant. Mesela İTÜ'den birisi matematik dersi. So, self-directed learning, peer-to-peer, group learning. I do all 3 of these. And on Thursday, I let you still go back and study on your own. On Friday, only on Friday, you get to see the teacher, to ask questions that you could not find an answer through your peers or through the assistant. That's the future of education. So you minimize the time that the teacher spends, use the teacher more effectively. So the person, right now, what we spend 3 hours a week teaching, you can only teach 2 classes a semester. If you spend 1 hour teaching, you could teach more classes. That's your economics, okay? So you're actually reducing your cost of delivery. Because assistants are cheaper, chatbot is even cheaper. So this multi-pronged approach will actually cover different learning styles. You can watch videos, you can read text, you can deal with the chatbot, talk to the peer, learning groups, discussion, debate, trust included, and then talk to the teacher. Far superior to just teacher coming in and lecturing in the classroom. I have not been able to do that. You know why? The teachers are not trained. The students are not ready. The teachers are not ready. The technology is not ready. So it's just up here. Right now, my online school operates like any other Zoom school. By the way, you can take grade 12 classes only and get a high school diploma from Canada in my school. So I've cut the cost of getting a degree to 1/4. So instead of paying $150,000 for 4 years of high school, you pay only $10,000 Canadian to get a Canadian high school diploma, which gives you free entry to any Canadian university and any European university. Aklınızda olsun, yani eş dost tanıdık falan varsa. Tabii 2 tane müşteri çıkarsak fena mı olur şuradan? 10'ardan $20,000.
Okay, that was another question. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
you mentioned about several strategies like active learning, the classroom, and this discussion in the classroom. But if you look at the higher education system, in order to be a professor, only requirement is writing a PhD dissertation.
Yes.
I mean, nobody checks your
Yes.
background about teaching and using those strategies. I don't blame academicians because there is no system, neither in Turkey or nor in the US or other. But we have some institutions or some organizations that are universities. For example, we have health center, cafeteria, library, and research project office. So they all established to support the faculty members. I mean, they need to be healthy, they need food, they need books. But where is the teaching? This is our basic.
Extremely good question, sir.
Yeah, this question is also.
Yeah, I know.
I wish was.
I think universities have to understand that they can't do business as usual. I actually asked myself this question when I was a PhD student. They threw me in front of students and I said, what the heck? I don't know how to teach. And they said, you can take a course on teaching. I went to the Faculty of Education and I took a course on university teaching. It's actually good. Okay, it's the University of Florida. How to create an outline, how to deal with problem students, how to create with exams, how to present in using different channels. It was basically a mechanics class, which gave me a chance. And then I kept, I invested a lot of time and resources in my teaching skills, okay? And you're 100% right. I actually made the same point. I said, we're teaching somebody to drive a truck and then we're asking them to fly a plane. 5 years of research training, no teaching training, yet we ask you to teach. Where, hocam, we charge students 300, 400,000 to be a student in your classroom, yet you don't know how to teach. Is that crazy? The academics world is simply not coming to terms with that. I think with ChatGPT, we got one more slap. Okay. So for example, we have a teaching and learning excellence center. Okay? It's one person, okay? But that one person tries to teach people how to use Blackboard, how to position your camera in Zoom, okay? How to create groups in Zoom. Very basic sort of IT training. At University of Alberta, we actually had a bigger teaching and learning center, which organized a lot of workshops like this. This school is doing this, so it tells me that it's not true that they don't care about teaching. There's some care, okay? But Emre, you don't have a teaching and learning center?
No, we don't.
Oh, baby.
Why don't you?
Ya, o zaman why don't you? Bak, bizde bir kişi var bu işi yapan. Bir kişi. You start with one person, you give 2 or 3 assistants from faculties of education, from other faculties. We can loan you students if you like. And then it's a start. If you hire the good person, for example, the person who is doing that for us is one IT side and one pedagogic side. The one on the pedagogical side has become quite an expert on flipped learning, and she's doing conferences. She's writing books with our president. Canlı yayında değiliz değil mi?
We are. If you want, we can stop.
Okay. So she's writing books with the president. You know what that means, okay?
Hocam,
so she's writing the book.
Foundations Development Program, the core curriculum is, and correctly if I'm wrong, everyone, kind of de facto doing that because we are training TAs, we are training other.
Hocamı kim train ediyor oğlum?
When new academics arrive.
Abi esas program oldu akademikste. Ne akademikste anlatıyorsun bana? But the institution has to come to terms that we have not been taught how to teach. We don't know this, okay? How can you blame a teacher for not being a good teacher if he's never been taught to teach?
Exactly.
So you have to make up for this by, for the newcomers, it should be mandatory, okay? For the old comers, it should be, you can't force them, of course. But for example, here's something that I do. I, as the vice president, look at instructor evaluations. If your instructor evaluation is below 3 out of 5, And there's only maybe a dozen faculty members like that. If you are a part-timer, we don't hire you again. If you're a full-time faculty member, we ask you to come to my office. Your department chair doesn't know, your dean doesn't know, the president doesn't know. Okay? Only I know. And then I tell them, look, we have problems. What can we do to help you? Here's what we can do. We can send you to a teaching conference. We can pay for a workshop for you. We can give you books. We can mentor you. I can mentor you. I can come to your class, watch your classes, and I can give you feedback. And only I will know. This is just formative feedback. Yeah. Not summative, the other one. Yeah. We're not going to give you a raise or cut your salary as a result, but we'll only help you. Yeah. Less than 10% of the faculty members who are given this offer actually take up on it. But they become much better teachers. You remember Tarja Yoro? Tarja is a Finnish woman. She was a horrific presenter. She would come, she would open up her text and she would just read here, okay, looking at this. Typical Central European teacher, okay? And then one day she came up to me and said, look, I don't like the way I teach. I want to teach more like you. I said, okay, why don't we videotape your teaching and then we go over it. I didn't want to go into the classroom because then she'll feel intimidated. So videotaped, she came to my house, we watched the video, and she just became totally silent at the end of the video. She said, I suck. I remember it to this day. She said, I suck. I said, okay, why do you think you suck? Socratic method, okay? Yes, exactly. They can't even hear me. Okay, how can we solve that problem? I need to speak up. Well, is the room small enough that you can handle it by speaking up? Maybe not, she said. How about we give you a microphone? Okay. So she got a microphone. Then she said, I'm always in one point. I don't look at students. How can you fix that? I need to walk. Okay, Tarja, walk. I need to look at, she found all the things she was doing wrong by watching her own video. And then I simply gave her affirmation. I said, yeah, do that, do that, do that. 2 years later, she won the Teacher of the Year award. And I almost cried. I mean, it's not that hard. But if you don't train people, they will not get better. We cannot do introspection if we don't get feedback, okay? For example, we're amongst friends here. You kept looking at the screen. Now, when you teach from this location, by looking at the screen, I'm sitting there, I can hear you fine, but Emre can't hear you. You're looking at the screen, that's distracting. Same visual is here. Your friend next to you stood here, looked at the visual and spoke. I don't know if you were trained, but that's the right way to do it. What you did is the wrong way to do it. No one taught you this, right? You won't do it again. You know why? Because now you know. Abi bu trainingin, yani asistanlara verilen trainingin hocalara da verilmesi lazım. Önce hocalara verilmesi lazım. Bilmiyorlar, ne yapsın adam ya? The problem is with our PhD programs. Our PhD programs have no courses on teaching. This blows my mind. 5 years, you are trained to write papers. Now, all of a sudden, you're supposed to teach. How are you supposed to teach? Are you supposed to learn this through osmosis? This is what happens. We learn it through osmosis. And what happens is we pick up all the bad habits of our own teachers. We become only as good as they are. Hocandan görmediğin bir şeyi sen kendin yaratamazsın ki yani. Doğrusu diye öğreniyorsun, yapıyorsun. Therefore, definitely in the PhD programs, the onus is on you to produce good teachers. But also, for your existing faculty, you need to have teaching improvement workshops. I mean, you need to have breathing control exercises. How do you think I can control my voice so much? It's because I know when to breathe. I never caught out of breath. Why do you think I move my hands so much? Because I know when you're animated, people don't sleep. Why am I engaging you guys individually? Because then you feel connected. You don't fall off. All these are techniques that can be learned out. Why not? Tiyatro eğitimi verilmesi lazım öğretmen. Burnundan kıl aldırmayan öğretmenlere de abicim tamam yani o zaman you are on your own diyeceksin.
We are all totally on the same page, but that changes the logistics of accepting grants, timely manner, giving us enough window to train them before the term starts, kind of logistics issue, but that's not a debate for today.
There's a point that we should make, and that is before we move on to all these things, or simultaneously, as we are starting to use all the possibilities that are offered by artificial intelligence, we should really start training.
Human intelligence.
Human intelligence. That's very important.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise it will fail.
Absolutely.
It will not work. And then we will say, it didn't work.
Absolutely. Because you are actually putting the person into a much more critical position now. In the past, you used to just information transfer. Even if you're a bad teacher, you can do information transfer. Now I want you to actually emotionally touch the students. Okay, I want you to actually make them think about multidisciplinary aspects of what they learned, how to apply. For that, you need to be a grab it by the bull by the horns kind of performer.
So that's one of the things that we have in our science course. This NS course is the first sort of flipped class that we try to implement at Sabancı. But at the same time, we have to really train our teachers. Our first cohort was a bit more trained, but then the newcomers are not necessarily all trained, but they're younger, so they adapt to the situation. But also using skills that will get things the best out of students. Those are different skills that the teacher has to learn, or the facilitator rather. They have to forget that they're teachers, they're facilitators to get the best out of the student, because the student should have learned whatever was supposed to be learned outside the class.
That's a really good point.
Then we get the best out of them.
You need to be a better observer.
Yeah.
You need to be able to hold their pulse better. You need to be more human in the classroom.
And you need to be awarded for that. When you ask people to get out of their comfort zone, do all of that, be a different person, be a different facilitator, but not create incentive mechanisms, performance evaluation for that, then you won't get anybody.
In our promotion criteria, we have research, teaching, service, and practice. We have 4 criteria. You can get points for exceptional teaching. You can get points for developing a new course. You can get points for implementing novel practices. You can get points for scoring really high. So you can become an associate professor faster. Now we are introducing also a teaching award, faculty-wide and university-wide teaching award. Totally right. Why do we have research grants and not teaching grants? I mean, I used to hold a teaching chair at the University of Alberta. There are many research chairs, not teaching chair. The very first teaching chair I received. Because the university realized this is nonsense. We are basically a teaching institution. Yeah, we are a research university, but what we do is teach. That's what society pays us for. Yet we don't have a teaching chair. So they established a teaching chair. It basically means a bit more money for you, okay? Or teach one less course, or you are awarded by teaching maybe the most prestigious course or whatever. Okay? Institution needs to signal to everybody that teaching counts. Don't. If you're a bad teacher, you'll be called into an office and you'll be told that you have not done as well as you could have, and perhaps we can help you to improve your teaching. If you're a good teacher, you should get a reward for it. No penalties. It's not a reward penalty mechanism. I don't suggest penalties. I suggest avenues for improving teaching. Penaltıların çalıştığına inanmıyorum abi ben. Koskoca hocayla yani ne penaltısı abi?
Sorry hocam, not having fewer students within your class incentive enough?
It is, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, when I'm a better teacher, I actually get more positive feedback from the students, and that really makes me feel good. I feel useful. Yeah, why am I put on this earth, I wonder, okay? And my answer is I'm put on this earth to do some good for others. If I know that I'm doing good for others, I feel fulfilled. Kendini gerçekleştirmek, self-realization. So that is an award, but maybe not a reward, but you need to be given resources to improve yourself. books, money for conferences, workshops.
Time.
Why are we only financing?
Time.
Huh? Time off. Why are we only promoting research conferences? Why can't you go to a teaching conference? Why can't you choose? I used to be able to do that at the University of Alberta. I said, look, I'm going to teach this large class, but I want to teach nothing else. They said, fine, because the large class substitutes 6 classes. And I said, listen, my load is only 2. I'm teaching 6. So give me money. So I actually received the entire budget and I hired assistants with that money. So I had 450 students in the classroom and 20 assistants in the labs. So students got more personalized attention in the large class than in the small classes, because in the small classes, there were no assistants, no labs. So you can actually provide the students a better learning experience with large classes and assistants. And the reward I received was I didn't have to teach anything else. Just teach that 1 class a year, that's it. So that gives you the entire second half of the year to prepare for next year to be even better. Bir de yani, abi, reward, I received 10 teaching awards. One of them was $10,000. $10,000 award. That's not bad, okay? You could buy a car in Canada with that money. Mostly it's intrinsic, but there are some external awards as well. So, I mean, I'm glad the administration is thinking about this, but hey, it's about time. Are you? I'm going to say something that's going to bother you. No matter how hard you try, you're not going to be in the top 100. Okay? You're just not large enough. So stop this, maybe not stop this research stuff, but just realize that you're limited, okay? Try to be the best teaching school you can be. Let people do their research, but instead of publishing 65 papers a year, if you publish 70, it's not going to put you into a much better spot, okay? You are already in the top 3 in Turkey, okay? I'm telling you, I know, I measure this. Per capita publications, you are already in top 3 in Turkey. So what if you are number 1? Who cares? What is number 1? Are they in top 100? No. Are they in top 200? No. We are not large enough. We don't have enough budgets to compete on research. And your students, I'm sorry, are not paying you for your research. Okay? Much of your budget comes from students. I'm sorry, you need to serve them better. Yani hesap sorması lazım sizden çocukların ya. Benden 300 bin. You're taking 300,000-400,000 lira on
No, we're much cheaper than that.
Why are you, why are you not providing teaching improvement workshops to the teachers? The reason they don't ask you this is because they don't know enough. Okay? I'm an education activist. I'm going to make sure that Sabancı students will know about this. Ben tuşlatmayacağım onları. Rektörün kapısına gelecekler. Diyecekler ki, why are you not spending more resources to improve teaching at your institution? What is this research? Okay, fine. Do the research. But are you so poor that you're spending nothing on teaching improvement? I'm sorry, that's not an acceptable answer. Bir de ona koskoca Sabancı Holding'in parası mı yok diye bir tagline koyarım. Yanarsın.
We're not that bad hocam.
Abi aynı şeyi ben kendi okulumda da söylüyorum. Diyeceğim size şikayet edeceğim.
Couple of things, technicalities about teaching, like you shouldn't, because they won't listen to you, hear you, etc. Those we lack. So that we need. But what I'm not sure about, is so giving the basics is okay and doable. Let's say average level support personnel. Like serious innovation, it's not average thing. And I don't know if you have a center, you get better at it. It's intrinsic. I think it grows by time. I don't know if you were such a good teacher 40 years back, not just fresh PhD, or were you caring as much like 5-10 years after your PhD? Well, you were busy getting a tenure, right? So we all know, and putting aside research, I don't know. I mean, the best people still go to best places where they can do their research as good as they can, right?
You don't put research aside. I mean, no. I do have, trust me, I do have 62 papers. I do have 3,000 citations. Yeah. That did not keep me from spending a lot of time doing my teaching. But you're right, I did it all over my own.
Large scale. Like you have, but some people just excel in various aspects, some do not. What I'm trying to say is, what we lack is indeed basic training, both to TAs and also the newcomers. But like real innovation, I don't know if you can show examples, and I think this is what we are doing. Like we have an NS course which innovated a lot, and there's been an example. I don't know if you hire people to teach people like this is how you innovate. I don't think it would be as effective. That's my opinion. Maybe if and the other problem I see is really like really high level people in this sector in Turkey. I don't know if we have.
I would like to add something. After we did the NS change, for 3 years, I think, we had teachers coming from Bard College training us. Okay, so they would come for 1 week or 10 days, something like that. And they would work with us with groups of teachers, volunteers, of course. And they would teach us different ways of doing things. Well, innovation is a tricky thing because I think innovation also feeds on itself. You know, once you start going on that road, it's not always, you don't always create sparks, but then you develop a mindset which is open to innovation. You know, maybe the first 5 years, nothing will happen, but then after 6 years, somebody will do something, something will come out, a new thing will come out of the
ecosystem.
Yeah, the ecosystem has to develop also, you know, that you may not be able to learn it, but if you prepare the right environment, it will nurture it and it will help to get it.
Invention of this complex innovation.
Yeah. But I think we should also continue with this.
For example, one thing you did that was out of the ordinary in the early days is you tried to do startups from research.